Good morning, everybody. I am Deanna Anderson with Earl Nursery, and welcome to our first ever virtual make and take on Facebook Live. We're going to wait a couple of seconds and wait for people to hop on board and join us this morning, but I will invite Shelly Scahill over, who is one of our lead designers. You can stay there for now. And she is going to walk through this make and take with you. So we've got everything laid out. If you stopped in our store and picked up your package, you should have all the ingredients and materials that we have here to make this apple basket Christmas container. And then if, once you finish and you want to embellish, Shelly's going to talk a little bit about other things that you can add to your pot to kind of make it a little bit more fancy. If you want to go back to the stores, our stores are loaded with all of their fresh greens right now. So the fresh cut greenery, the pre-baked containers that we do here at our home office and ship out to the stores, and also our fresh cut Christmas trees are in. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Shelly and let her get started.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome, and we'll see how this goes. So we're going to do our Christmas basket. There's a couple different ways we can go about it. First off, we've got our pot filled with dirt, so hopefully you've filled your pot already. And I know some of you are using pots you may have used at home or whatever, so you can use any kind of pot, any shape. My basic design, and we can talk about how we can modify it a little bit too. So the first off is we're going to decide if we want a front-facing design or if you want a 360 so that you can see it all the way around. Just for ease of the video, I think we're going to go with a front-facing design. So in your kit, you should have got your spruce tops, which are these two little Christmas trees. You've got Fraser fir, a nice bundle here, and we'll talk about how I go through that. And then you've got our white pine, which is nice and soft, pine cones, and red berries. So first off, what we'll do is our spruce tops, and I always start from the tall item and then kind of from the back forward is how I'll go through it. There's probably other ways people make a basket. This is just how I've done it. So you kind of decide how high you want it. And then your spruce tops, you've got two. You don't want them the same height. You want one to be a little bit lower, and you can go left or right, whatever you prefer. If we go with this one here, if I had some branches, your spruce top might have some branches that come out from the bottom. Clip a few of those just so that it will slide into the dirt better. And I think this is probably tall enough. Depending on the pot you're using, you're going to want it taller than the pot. So we want to have a good proportion to our height, to the height of the pot. Then we can visualize we want this much, and so if I go off to the side here, if I want my spruce top to be that tall, I'll probably cut it off about right here. So take your pruners, cut it, and here's what I talked about when you clip these bottom branches away. It'll just make it easier to slip into the dirt. Okay?
And Shelly, we have our first question.
Oh, great. Good.
Would I be able to pick up and do this myself from the stores?
Yes, you can. All of these items you can purchase at the store. And maybe when you get your first one done, you want to make one to match.
Yep,
maybe one on both sides of your doors. You can do that. Again, and maybe you don't like these, you want some other height elements. We've got all different kinds of greens at the stores that you can use. All of these little pieces that came off, we don't waste them. We'll stick them in the back. Turn it around a little bit. We'll just stick that in. And that just helps hide any dirt. Don't like to see dirt. Okay? So that kind of gives us our backdrop. I gotta remember to come off to the side. So now you're gonna look at your Fraser fir. And the Fraser is gonna have all different kinds. You're gonna have some here that are shaped like this, and you're going to go, what am I going to do with this? These are going to be great for fillers. But if you look through and try to find some of these nice shaped branches, we're going to use those in the back. And so what I might do is clip this one apart. This will help you extend how you're going to use the greens, and start just kind of shaping the back to give yourself some height and transition down to the front. That's a pretty good one as well. And just like we did with the spruce top, I might snip off a few bottom branches just to keep him in the dirt. Okay? And if you're symmetrical, they might want to be the same, or you might want a little difference in height just for some variation. Now this one, if you see it's got this end, that won't go in the dirt very well, so just give him a clip. And I might stick a few in right in front of the spruce tops for some height. And as you get your greens out, you can sort them out on the table, using your tall ones first. Here's a pretty good one. Okay, this is going to be kind of weird to see. And then what I'm going to do is kind of come down and establish my front. And just as a tree grows kind of left and right, you might angle these. Now when I push them in toward the front, I'm going to go at about a 45-degree angle. If you went straight up, we always tell them when we're making pots, you look like you got toy soldiers there. You don't want that. You want to put them at an angle. And you can even turn them a bit. That way they'll kind of droop a little bit easier for you around the front. You might have some go left and some go right. And after you're done, if you haven't done before, you can water your dirt down, because then when it freezes, it's going to lock everything in place. And also help with the green as well. So I'm putting some off to the side. Again, just to kind of walk it around.
And as Shelly is building with the Fraser fir here, and you guys are hopefully building alongside her, if we're going too fast or anything like that, just let us know, send us a comment, and we'll slow down a little bit. But also know that we are going to post this video afterwards, so you can go back and rewatch it. And one of the nice things about container gardens is, with the greenery, is that if you don't like something, it's very easy to pull out and remove and reposition. So feel free to work on at your own pace.
And the same thing is as you're going through the season, if something's maybe looking a little brown or tired, pull it out, put in something new and fresh. So now we've got the front and the back. So now I'm going to do my filler, and I'm just going to put in a few pieces. And what I like to do is not make it right against the back. Give yourself some spacing so we can build and fill in a little bit with some other stuff. Now I face these forward just because I like the look of the greens. Oh, slow down. Okay. We're going a little fast. So as we put those in, we're just giving ourselves some places to put ornaments, to put some of our white pine, and we'll build it so it's a layered effect. I gotta see what it looks like. I think I need something else tall right there. This right here will work. Okay. All right. So now we've got a lot of greens left over. I might just wait. I might add some more a little bit later if I feel that I need some spots, or we could use them for another pot, whatever. But I think now we're going to switch over to the white pine. So first I want to talk about how white pine grows, because you're going to get the white pine and you've got this item and then you've got this, and you think, how in the world can I make that look like something? You don't want to just stick that in there, because then it's going to be really wild and woolly. But white pine grows with a centerpiece, and then it'll have these supporting pieces on the side. You can use that, but I don't like the height as well. If they're close enough in height, I'll use this as is. Otherwise, if you take and just snip out that centerpiece, now you've got two, and they're more uniform in height. So if I stick him in, now we talked about layering, if I stick him in toward the back, and I can stick him in, and you can see the white pine just kind of softens that design. So the same thing here, I'm going to cut that centerpiece out. And these are nice longer pieces, so I want to use those toward the back. And the white pine is nice because it'll drape over. Sometimes these very center stalks, the very end of the branches, won't bend as much as like this one is. So we'll want to use him toward the back a little bit. I feel like I'm growing this from the my blind side. I can't see. Okay, I cut him and I lost him, so we're going to go to another piece.
Okay, Shelly, we have another question.
Sure.
If you were going to design this for a 360 container of 360 degree view, how would you go? Would you put the taller pieces in the middle, or how do you go about that?
Right, I would put it in the middle, and then instead of having the taller pieces here, you may have a few on the side just to kind of complement this to bring the level down, but you're going to do this type of transition all the way around the pot, and then you're going to build from the center down instead of the back to the front, is what I would do. But good question. So we're just going to continue to add in the white pine. And I like the white pine. It just softens everything. It's a good contrast against the Fraser. So what you can do as well is on the front, because these will bend so easy. Again, stick them in, but at that 45, not straight up and down. 45-degree angle, no toy soldiers. And the other thing we don't want to see are those cut ends right here where you just cut. So if you bury that deep enough, you won't see that. Okay. We have lots of the white pine, so feel free to stick it in everywhere. And if you get one that sticks out too far and you don't like him, as you're turning it around, like she said before, we can pull it out, put it in, or just stick it in farther. This one's kind of stiff, so he needs to be in the back. There's my cut piece. Hopefully you're finding some good fun pieces. I like them real soft. Now this one I'm not going to cut the center out because he's close enough to the same size. So I'll just stick him in on the side here. You guys are going to tell me if I'm getting lopsided.
You're good so far.
And that one had a big cut in, so I want to make sure he gets deep enough that I can put something else in front of him to cover up the cut mark. Now remember too, in the center here, we're going to put our pine cones. So we'll have room for pine cones and then some other embellishments we'll talk about here at the end, what we can do. Okay. Now that's one thing about the white pine. It doesn't go as fast as the Fraser because it's so wispy, but it gives such a nice effect to it.
Well, and you can really do a lot with the, by pruning some of your branches and taking those tips and adding to them, you can really make your, add more value to your pot because you're really utilizing the whole entire branch versus just sticking a whole branch in the pot and moving on.
And just the way that white pine grows, it's so, some of your bundles may be real leggy than others. You know, it's just, they get so long, but you can really thicken up and even put two together if you want a little fuller spot like right here. I think I need a little more right there in that one spot. Okay. Just give yourself a once over here. Doesn't look too bad. So now we kind of want to go with our pine cones. Your pine cones probably are on a really long stick. And depending on the pot you're using, you'll just cut off with your pruners to the height you want. Now we've given you 3 pine cones because when you're designing, odd numbers are always good. And don't just stick them straight up. Think about how a pine cone grows on a tree. You might have some that off to the side, they may be close together at probably 3 different levels.
And we have another question.
Sure.
Do you want to, Janet is asking, is your pot soil damp before you start the project?
I prefer it damp, but you may not have done that. You can always lightly water it after you're done. But when it's damp, it'll dry, it'll hold those pieces better. So, we're gonna kind of go, let's go off to the side here.
And we had another question about purchasing the bundles of greens. The bundles of greens are available at our garden centers, so you can go in and ask. Just let the garden centers know that you are interested in the design that we did for the make and take, and they should have that information of what greens were used and can get those for you.
Great. Especially if you want to make another one, right?
Yes.
You're going to be addicted, I can tell. So your berries come as just a pick, and just give them a little fluff, and they're wire attached to them, so you can bend them, kind of give them a little more natural look. And again, you've got 3 of those, so we can stick them. And this just gives a little splash of color. And we have all at the stores. If you don't want red, we've got different colors you can purchase to go with your decor. And let's stick one up. And I like to stick it back so I can't see the stick. There again, you can always. Okay, so now I've done basic here, but I don't like this. This has a big blank spot. So I can either stick a Fraser fir or white pine. And I've got a lot of white pine that is kind of showing and covering up my Fraser. So I think I'm going to stick a Fraser fir for a little more texture. Created another spot. As you poke, your hands make holes in them, so you got to cover those holes back up. And it might just be you need a fluff. That looks better. So that's our basic design. I hope you like that. That's not too bad. So you can either leave it like this. We talked about a little bit of embellishment. So maybe you want to add some balls. Maybe you're not into the pine cones. Let's just take the pine cones out, and we'll try some balls.
And as you guys are completing your projects at home, feel free to send us pictures. We'd love to see the designs that you guys have created on your own, as Shelly is showing you how you can go back in and embellish with things that you might have around your house, or if you want to add just a little bit of something to your design. But we'd love to see what you guys have created as well.
Sure. Now these you can take some balls. You can be as large as these. These are a 4.5-inch ball, which are rather large. You can go with that. Go with smaller ones. Maybe you even want to go a little more traditional. These are our hammered balls, which I really love. They come in all different colors. But maybe you want to go with more of a gold and silver look. So we've got a gold hammered ball. Silver one, and then a gold one here too. And then maybe you want a little more height to this, so we can add in some gold twigs. And we've got all kinds of gold. There's different kinds of twigs. You've got natural dogwoods. You've got these painted birch.
Okay.
These are just nice.
We had a question that asked if we could zoom more. Unfortunately, it won't let us do that, but we will post some still photos afterwards so we can get in close to the pot as Shelly is doing this, so you can see more what she is, what we have done. Yeah.
So there's just some ways you can change things up. You can add ribbons and bows, which would be kind of cute. Especially now these buffalo plaids are kind of cute. Yep. Would be buffalo plaid around this pot. This pot would be really cute. So have fun with it. Any other questions you might have, I think we can probably answer them for a little while if you've got some questions.
I am not seeing any
that.
more questions.
Okay.
So I think that will end it for us here today. Like I said, we'll get this posted as soon as we can for you guys so you can go back in and watch again. Maybe the last question, finish off how to care for the pot.
Good idea.
To make it last the longest for this for the season, because it doesn't just have to be a Christmas container. You can keep fresh cut greens all winter long.
Right.
So, or most of the winter.
The main thing to do with these are live greens. They've been freshly cut. They're in nice shape, but they will dry out. So one thing we do before we send them to the stores is we put wilt proof on them. So you spray wilt proof on these, and you can get that at the Earl May stores, and it'll extend the life. It keeps them from drying out. You want to keep them away from direct sunlight, preferably probably outside. You can keep them inside, but your indoor temperatures and furnaces will really dry them out quickly. We mentioned watering down the pot. It'll help a little bit, but you don't need to water. It's not going to continue to live. It's more the wilt proof and keeping them out of that hot sun. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Like I said, thank you guys everybody for watching, and share your pictures with us. We'll get this posted as soon as possible, and enjoy. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.